Wow, what an event. Distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen, and proud moms and dads, I'm delighted to be here with you this evening in this great special event. And to the members of the class of 2014, congratulations, well done. Now I can tell you, serving as a commencement speaker is an honor, but it carries with it 3 specific responsibilities. My first is to congratulate those wearing the caps and gowns. So to the 609 students who are graduating, congratulations again. Second is to share some advice, some experience, or some wisdom with the graduates who are here at this very moment, wondering perhaps who I am and why their commencement speaker isn't someone like Kim Kardashian or Miley Cyrus or Jon Stewart. Well, they selected me, so complain to them. My third responsibility, and this is most important, is for me to be quick about it. These families are here to hear a particular name called and to see a particular person on this stage. And I can assure you, it is not me. So you heard something about my background in the introduction, but I'm going to share with you some lessons that I learned from an experience that I often don't talk about, I don't write about. It was the most challenging, surreal, and unexpected time in my life. I say unexpected because I learned these lessons in a place that I never thought I would be. And I can tell you, my mother never wanted me to be there. I'm talking about the years, my friends, that I spent behind bars in a maximum security prison. I'm talking about the 4 years I spent inside Attica State Prison in upstate New York. You might be thinking, well, how did you get up here from there? We'll get to that in a minute. Let me tell you something about Attica. I got to know it very well. It earned national notoriety in 1971, long before your time, graduates, when a prison riot led to a 4-day inmate takeover of the facility. Those inmates had a long list of demands, including access to more educational opportunities. But negotiations broke down. The state police were ordered to retake the prison by force. When the dust cleared, 30 people were dead, including 10 correctional officers. That was a terrible, dark moment in our nation's narrative. Movies have been made of it. Like I said, that occurred in '71, before my time there. I was there in the early 1990s. The first lesson I want to share with you, my friends, from my time in Attica is make the most of your freedom. While this is probably not unique to Attica, the prison building itself is a monument to despair. It looks like a fortress from the Middle Ages with watchtowers, razor wire. The walls are tall, thick, and painted in what I would call government contractor gray. Now, when I say the words Times Square, you probably think of New Year's Eve in New York City, and the thousands of people rejoicing, watching the ball come down, right through the video billboards. But the Times Square I experienced in Attica was nothing like that place. In Attica, Times Square is the central control hub where the 4 wings of the prison come together. It leaves a rather different impression. The smell of bleach, the hum of industrial fluorescent lights, the kabang percussion of heavy steel doors opening, closing. Only one of Times Square's gates can open at a time. Inmates can pass through a gate only in single file, 10 at a time. The process is deliberately slow. The rhythms and echoes of everyday life in Attica, they remind me of the freedom that does not exist there. We take that freedom for granted, my friends, in our everyday lives. The word freedom itself can feel like a little more than a talking point in a political speech. But the freedom to go where you want to go, to learn what you want to learn, to be whatever it is you want to be, is an incredibly precious gift. My time in Attica has taught me to be grateful for it every day. Second lesson I want to share with you from my time in Attica is this: mind your manners. I have worked in community college education now for a long time. It was in prison, however, that I saw some of the very best and some of the very worst students I've ever seen. The college classes offered behind bars typically had about 15 students in them. Those students were focused on learning. They respected their instructors and their assignments to a degree not often seen in a typical college classroom. They read their materials. They were prepared. They would ask some sharp, insightful questions. But they couldn't hold the in-class discussion. That was nearly impossible. They lacked the manners that are necessary to engage in group conversation. They'd talk over each other. They'd interrupt each other. They would ridicule each other or ignore each other. You know, it's a lot like watching those evening talk shows on those so-called cable news stations where everyone on the screen just kind of screams at each other. It's deeply troubling to watch that kind of interaction in person. Here's the point. To achieve anything in this world, you're going to have to work with others. Collaboration, partnership, teamwork. These are really the only way things get done. So mind your manners. You'll never, ever regret it. The third, last lesson I want to share with you from my time inside Attica is to never, never, never stop learning. Value your education and encourage that in the people you surround yourself with. The phrase lifelong learning has been around a long time, but the idea has never been more important than now. Experts predict that today's 609 graduates will have 4 or more different careers in their lifetime. Everything technical that you've learned here, every piece of technology that you've touched while you were here, will be outdated within a decade or sooner. But that credential you earn here today is not really the finish line. It's something like a starting line. Most of the inmates I encountered behind the walls of Attica never finished high school. Inside prison, however, these convicted felons were desperate to learn. To them, the chance to earn college credits was as important as the air that they breathed. The thought of going to class is what got them up in the morning, and they worked their prison jobs all day. They took 2 classes at night, 4 nights a week. They took them seriously. As I mentioned a moment ago, some of them that I encountered were some of the very best students I've ever seen. Many of those prisoners who took college courses eventually earned a credential, and prison officials allowed them to have a commencement ceremony, somewhat similar to this one. They were permitted to wear caps and gowns. They had a commencement speaker. Their families came to watch the big moment. And most importantly, got to celebrate by eating food from the outside. It was often pizza. They loved it. So let me ask you something. These folks that I was with reached rock bottom in their lives. They knew that it would be years before they would be out. So if these people that I'm describing could understand the value of continuing their education, why can't each of us value that? Never stop learning, my friends. Value the education you have earned. Encourage that and the people around you to do the same. So now, By this point, maybe you've asked yourself again, how did this guy go from inside Attica to being the head of Virginia's community college system? And what did he do to end up in prison to begin with? Well, the truth is, I earned it. But that's not to say I was convicted of a crime. I was a senior administrator at Genesee Community College. I was in charge of college programs that were offered at 5 prisons. I volunteered to teach criminology. I asked my staff, which one is the toughest? They said Attica. That's where I became a teacher. So yes, I spent 4 years inside the walls of that supermax prison, but I got to go home every night and sleep in my old bed. It was a small detail that, made all the difference. So as a fellow community college student, that was my first degree. My story is proof that a good education like the one you have earned here at Piedmont can and will take you just about anywhere you want to go. And the lessons are real. It doesn't take 4 years inside a prison to understand them. Make the most of your freedom, respect others, never stop learning, value your education. I'm winding this up. I see some of you twitching, waiting to get up here. So I just want to leave you with one last thought. I've given a lot of commencement speeches throughout my career, and that includes one to a class of graduates inside Attica State Prison. I read Dr. Seuss to them. It's one of my favorites. Dr. Seuss wrote it when he was invited to my alma mater, the University of Massachusetts, to be a commencement speaker for a college class that included his granddaughter. It was the last book he wrote in his life. So in closing out my remarks, let me share with you a few lines from that book. The book was entitled, "Oh, the Places You'll Go." Congratulations. Today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know, and you are the one who will decide where to go. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. Thank you, my friends. Congratulations to this class. Well done.